Hello, welcome to Should I Buy This Game featuring Harmonies. My name is Christine, and in this video I'll give you an overview of how the game is played and then share some things I may like or dislike about the game to help you decide if you want to add Harmonies to your collection. This is the game Harmonies, and in this game we are building habitats to gain points. On your turn, you must take a set of 3 randomly placed tokens. You can choose which of these 5 sets that you're going to play on your play mat. And what we're doing is building up different habitats. So for a tree, you would need a brown one would be the base of the tree, but the brown doesn't score. It must have the leaf on top. So a tree can just be the leaf for 1 point. It can be 1 brown and 1 leaf, or 2 brown and a leaf. And the taller the tree, the more points you get. The gray are mountains. Now, the thing with the mountain is that there has to be 2 mountains side by side to score. And then you get points based on how tall your mountains are. A field is yellow, and there has to be a set of 2 to be a field. If there's a third one, it's still 5 points. Once you have 2, it's 5 points regardless of how many more. But a single yellow does not score. Now with the buildings, you can have a gray, a brown, or a red on the bottom, and then the red on top, and that forms the building. But the building only scores if it is surrounded by 3 different colors. If there's only 2 of a color beside the building, it does not score. And then the river scores based on how many tiles are touching, and you only score 1 river, whichever is the longest, and if it's more than 6 tiles, you get 4 points for each additional tile. And that is what we are building for our habitats. So then, knowing that, we can come to the animal tiles, and it tells you what sort of habitat you want to build. So as I mentioned, in each turn, you must take 3 tokens. However, you also have the option of taking a card, and you can have up to 4 cards in your play area. So I think I am going to take these tokens and this card, because you can see how if I have the arrangement of 2 stone and a water, I will be able to gain points. So when you get a card, you're going to put little tiles on each of these. And to fully score the card, you will need to do this 3 times on your player board. So I'm going to choose an area, maybe just here in the middle, like this. And because I have matched that, I can take the bottom one and put it on the blue, because it says it's the blue that needs the point. So that blue stone can no longer be scored for an animal tile. And then we refresh this. So then your opponent would go, and maybe they will take this card. And, oh, I didn't refresh my tokens. You refresh your tokens. So maybe they take this card, and then therefore these tokens. We'll just move them out of the gameplay. So we would refresh 3 more tokens. Ooh, a lot of tree trunks there. So it's your turn again, and you see that there's this card here, that if you have 2 river and this mountain, you can score points. So again, there were these tiles sitting there. So I'm going to do a combination. So by placing this tile here, I now have scored this again. I have 2 and the 1. And by placing that one, I have now scored this one here, because it's 2 blue with the stone in the middle, and the stone does not have a little thing on it. Let me put these here. So therefore, I can score this one. And 2 blue with the mountain, I can score that one as well. And so this is where the trick of this game is coming in, is that you want to have multiple cards working together so you can score all of those. I've already scored 4 animal cards, and I've only placed 4 tokens. So that is where the benefit of this game comes. Now, I still have 2 more mountain tokens. So what I may do is just put them here, and then in the future, if I get some water tokens, I can continue. I have 1 more here to score and 1 more here to score. Here we have my completed game, and you play until you have 2 or fewer spaces remaining at the end of your turn. If you were the first player to go, then the other opponent would get 1 more turn to complete their game. Now, here I managed to finish 3 complete cards. So when I go to score, I would get 14, 16, and 16 for those completed cards. And on these 2 cards, which I didn't complete, I would score 10 and 8. So now I'm going to score my board. So I'm going to start with trees. And this one is 3, so that is 7 points. And the rest are only 2 in height, so they're 3. So it's 7, 10, 13, 16, 19. Now with the mountains, I have a 4 and a 2, so they're all touching, so they would all score. They were only 1 high, so it's only 6 points. I only have 1 field because a field has to be a set of 2 yellow, and so that is 5 points. Now when it comes to the buildings, I mentioned it has to be around at least 3 different colors. So this building is around a green, a gray, a blue, and a yellow. So this building would score 5 points. However, this building is only around blue and gray, so I do not score for that building. So I get 5 points. And then my longest river is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a 5 spot river is 11 points. So I'm going to add those up. It's 19, 30, 46. Now when I added up all my cards, I got 64. So my score is 110, which compared to some other scores I have, that seems pretty good to me. Now I just want to mention that you can play this game solo. If you turn the board over, it is the solo side. And so you have 3 sets of 3 tiles. So on your turn, you would pick 1 set of tile to play, and then you would remove the rest of the tiles and replenish it with 3 new sets of tiles for each turn. There's also only 3 of the animal cards showing. And on your turn, if you choose not to add an animal card to your play area, you are able to remove a card and put a new one up for your next turn. And that is the difference on how a solo game is played. There are also animal spirit cards, and they suggest using these cards after you've played quite a bit and are used to the game. So what it is at the beginning of the game, you would be dealt 2 of these cards, and after your first turn, you would pick which card you would like to keep. Now it's used like an animal card. You would put your little token here, and once you're able to do whatever it wanted, you would then be able to, going forward, score things differently. So for example, here, a single field would score 2 points. If it was set of 2, it would score 2 points. But if it was 3 or more, it would score 10 points. Or here, you could only have, this one would score an individual field for 5 points. And they have them for all the different types of landscapes. And so these would be used later once you're more familiar with the game. I also want to show you that the boards are double-sided. And with this one, you are making an island. So right now, without any blue pieces, it is 1 island. But you can use your river pieces to break it up. And each time you form another section, you form another island, and each island will be scored as 5 pieces. So instead of scoring a long river, you're going to score how many areas you were able to divide the board up with your river and score 5 for each of them. And this board also has 2 extra areas for tokens. So now I'm going to talk about some things we liked about the game. And the first thing is the art on these cards. They are really cute. You see the little bunnies, the little bunny ears sticking out there. That's super cute. Here you have the little hedgehogs and the little one there smelling the flowers. And I love these little guys just hanging out in the rivers. And there's so many cute cards and cute art in this game. But the main thing we'd like is the puzzle of it all, trying to figure out how to score the most points. And it comes down to your cards. So even though you are allowed 4 cards at one time, I really find having 3 cards that you can concentrate on is a lot easier on the brain, at least for me. By adding that 4th card, you're now really focusing on many things. So unless your cards are working well together, you might want to stick with 3 cards before adding the 4th, but it would be on an individual player choice. The other thing you want to focus on is, can you find these cards that work together, where by placing the exact same tokens, you can score multiple times? This is another example here. It's similar to that one. Whereas here with the building, with the water would score, but then you could use the water to score the building. So you really want to try to find these combo cards that will allow you to score over and over again. And then speaking of scoring, what we really like is it's not only the cards that get scored, but it's also all the individual things you have on your board. So for example, I placed these 2 fields here to score the 5 points, even though none of my cards offered fields, because when I picked up my tokens, they were included. So this way you're still scoring on what you're placing on your board, even if it's not helping one of your animal cards. Now, a couple things to watch out for when you play the game is if you're playing with an opponent, you might want to keep an eye on their board, because the first time I played with Mark, he had just the couple spots left on his board, and my board was half empty, and he really caught me off guard because I wasn't anywhere near completing my game, and the game was over. So you might want to keep an eye on what your opponents are doing so you can play appropriately compared to what they're doing. And then the other thing is, even though sometimes you have the 1 or 2 spaces done and the game's over, you really wish you had that next turn, because sometimes your trees aren't completed or your buildings, and you want one more turn just to add those layers so you can finish your game, but the game is already over. So it's just a couple of things to think about when you play the game with players and then by yourself. But overall, as I said, we really enjoy playing Harmonies, and it's a game I see that we will have in our collection for a while. And if you like games like Cascadia, you would probably find this game enjoyable as well. So let me know in the comments if you have played Harmonies and what you think of this game.